All right, send it in, Jerome. Yes, back in 1988 on this day, it was Jerome laying on a beautiful assist from Sean Mueller. Demetrius Gore, the late Demetrius Gore, was also involved with that team. Charles Smith, you see him. Chris Mueller, this was one of those moments that, the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse is one of the best places. I wish they still played there in many ways, just because of the way that people are on top of one another. But that night, on this play, I've never seen anything quite like it. I've never felt anything quite like it. What a moment it was. And the call of send it in Jerome was one that lasts forever.
That's one of those plays that if it happened now, it would be even bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the 24/7 news cycle, or if how comparatively back then, like you had SportsCenter and what have you, but you didn't have like access to highlights at your fingertips. If it was even bigger because it had that special feel back then. Either way, I would have to say that's the iconic play in Pitt basketball history, right? I'm not forgetting anything, even in some of these Big East tournament runs they've had or whatever,
right,
or Levance Fields over Duke. That is the play of Pitt basketball.
I remember Donatas Savaskas with his shoe, not in a good way. I also remember Barry Goheen and how he just was allowed to do
good vibes only here, Bob. What are you doing? Good vibes only.
Really,
Richie's probably at home like clutching and God, it hurts. Why?
No, I'm just saying. I remember there are a lot of things that I remember about it, and a lot of great Big East runs. And I wish that tournament was back with these teams involved. Because, I mean, they had so many great UConn matchups. We can go on and on. In the meantime, though, I want to ask you about the Penguins real quick. And that would be, Evgeny Malkin is just, I don't know what his deal is right now, but he's off to a slow start. He and Zucker both have struggled. They need some top six production on 5-on-5. They haven't gotten much of it. And for as much as they've trailed to win 4 games in a row, and they've surrendered some points to Capitals in the process. But to win 4 games in a row is pretty amazing considering how they play, because I don't think it's been very good.
A lot to get to here, so I'll try to make it quick. I do think the last part of that, in terms of the Penguins being able to get points out of it, is hugely important. I don't think it can be stated enough, or I don't think you can overstate it, really, how important it is for them to have gotten points and wins the way that they have, playing, I would argue, some very inconsistent and spotty hockey, because this season's going to be over before people know it. As for Malkin, I can't figure it out. I thought in that qualifying round series against Montreal, that disaster, that he looked really bad for the majority of it. You know, we heard coming into that he was just shot out of a cannon to expect big things, and then he fell flat. I heard the same stuff about him in this year's training camp, how brief it was, that he looked really good. I don't know what it is. I don't ever doubt the guy's passion at all. I think he wants to win as badly as Sidney Crosby, but I do think sometimes he's more prone to being in funks because he wants it too bad and then he's gripping the stick too tight. One thing Pierre Maguire said to us today on the PM team, he wonders about Malkin's foot speed. He thinks he's getting hit. He's an easier target to physically take off the puck because he thinks maybe a step is gone. He said he used to never see the guy get hit no matter how big he was because he was so quick. So Pierre cited that as something to keep an eye on moving forward this year.
Yeah, I think you can look at that and think that's pretty accurate at this point, but they need to get going. It's good that Tristan Jarry played well in back-to-back games, too. They got a tough task now going on the road for 4, first 2 in Boston starting tomorrow night against the Bruins. Let's go to the lines, Chris. We got Jim in Castle Shannon first up tonight. Hey, Jim, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
What's
Hi,
up?
Chris.
Hey.
Hey, Bob, I think the Penguins got a good team this year. I like their quarterback. Their goaltender. And how many games do you think the Pirates are going to win this year? I say 60.
I won't go that high. Since you brought it up.
And the Steelers, I think Ben was hurt more than what people were saying, and I think they should get rid of Mike Tomlin.
All right. There's a lot to get to, Jim, but the Pirate news is something I didn't get to, Chris, with you, and I had intended to do that. But I don't think anyone's going to look at what happened and say, well, they shouldn't have done all this. It was going to happen. But now the question becomes, do you have the faith in the ownership to do what's right when it's time to do what's right? Because I don't. Do you?
No, because he hasn't shown me that he was going to do what would be right when the time was right. So no, I don't. That's absolutely a prove-it situation. Like, I would love for Ben Cherington's rebuild, and I do think he's right to tear it down to the studs. I'm not sentimentally attached, even though I liked watching Musgrove compete and watching Tyone battle, and I think they're good dudes. Same with Josh Bell. I certainly wasn't emotionally attached to any of those guys as a fan because they were engines of big winning. That wasn't what happened. So they were right to tear it down to get as much as they could in return. But here's kind of the thing at the end of the road here for the Pirates, the troll before the bridge to contention and to seriously being taken seriously by their own fans. Say they get back to a team that's winning ball games, maybe making the playoffs with a young core. You still have to walk up to Bob Nutting at that point, if that's actually happening like it was for 3 years, and say, are you going to put your money where your mouth is? And nobody knows the answer to that. We all, I think, are leaning in one direction, and we hope we're wrong, but nobody actually knows until it comes to that.
Right. It is a prove-it situation. You say you're going to do it when the time is right. And now they're going to buy themselves 3 or 4 years before the time may be right. Let's go to Rob in Fox Chapel. What's up, Rob? How are you?
Hey, Bob. Thanks for having me on the show. I'd like to say first that I think Ben Roethlisberger is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I appreciate everything he's done here. Well, I won't say appreciate it. I love the fact that he's been our quarterback the past 17 years. But I think him coming back this year just really doesn't serve a purpose for him or for the team. I think that the end result will be the same as it has been, and that I think if he were to go to another team like, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that there would be hope for that team. And then maybe we could find a retread.
Wait, why would they want him? They're going to get Trevor Lawrence, who's
right
the best prospect since Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning.
And
why would they want Ben Roethlisberger?
They have some talent, but not enough, regardless of who's the quarterback.
Well, maybe like a Chicago team or somebody that would have some sort of, they've been like Malays for the past 15 years, and they bring somebody like him.
Well, here's the thing I'll say about that, and I think a lot of people, have mixed feelings on this. But to me, I look at the Steelers the same way I always do, in that their intention is to try to compete, Chris. And if that is your contention, if you believe that you still can compete in that division, and listen, the Ravens and the Browns are taking steps to move ahead of them, and the Cincinnati Bengals may not be far behind. However, if they think that they can be competitive, and they're going to believe that, Ben Roethlisberger is their best option next year.
Well, here's all I would say to rebut that. The division's one thing. They might still be able to be competitive, although I think Baltimore and Cleveland have moved clearly ahead of them for right now. They measure themselves, Bob, you know this as well as I do, as a franchise by Lombardi trophies. I mean, the goal is not just to win the division. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. And I'm sorry, I'll say it for till I'm blue in the face. Go watch what the AFC title game looked like last night. Go watch what Kansas City looks like. I feel like I'm Adrian in Rocky or whatever, Rocky 4. You can't win. Sorry. You can't beat that team with this quarterback and this group that they'll have coming back. You can't do it. So if you believe like I do that that's the case, and I think most people should or everybody should, then I think you need to start breaking it down and trying to plan for the future. I'm sorry.
Well, they can still do that, and I think they will do that in time. The salary cap's going to go up after this year into next, and I do think they're going to shed some salary at that point, and they're going to have some money to play with. Plus,
what if Ben wants to play longer than next year?
Well,
what if Ben plays average to above average? Maybe he's good, but he's by no means great, and he wants to come back. What then?
Well, then you make a choice, and if your choice is to move forward, and you think you need to make a change, then you do it. And I can understand that from their point of view. But I think with 1 year left, and I think their best option right now, and they believe. Steps become, there's the first step of winning a division. The second step is to win a playoff game, which has been a problem for them, obviously. But if they believe they can be in that situation, they're going to do what they have to do, and I think he's the guy who will do it. And then they'll move on with it, and then they don't have to worry about a contract after that. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I do think there's going to be a lot of quarterback movement in this offseason. Now, before we go on any further, Chris, it's time for our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. And this one is about... It's from Adam Schefter. Okay, quarterbacks. There are roughly 10 quarterbacks, see my eyes are bad now and I left this thing upstairs, locked into starting jobs for opening day of 2021. Over and under, he has 18, Chris. So I'm going to get your reaction to that coming up of quarterback changes in this offseason. That is a big number, 18. We'll talk about it when we continue. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call here on Pittsburgh CW.